right? There's somebody out there that is looking at you and saying, man, I want to be that guy 3 years from now.
Yeah.
What would you say to that? What would you say to that
Like,
person?
I will tell you this, we were terrified,
Whether you're a seasoned vet of the payments industry or a brand new rookie who just heard the term dual pricing for the first time, you're in the right place. This is the only podcast that shares the strategies and stories behind selling merchant services. Welcome to Agent First.
Welcome to another episode of the Agent First podcast. I'm Justin Vollrath, your host, and I'm thrilled to be joined here today by Mr. Craig Baslee. Craig, welcome.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you, Justin.
Glad to have you here, brother. So I always like to kick these off with just hearing your story, right? Kind of how you got into payments. This is obviously you're an agent in the payments industry. You've been for a little while, but you didn't start off obviously growing up saying I want to be a credit card processing sales guy, right? So
no, I really didn't. I had got into sales back before COVID with Aflac, and so I was selling insurance door to door. I loved the job. COVID came around, I couldn't get into any of my businesses, and so when you're not able to get into your business, you can't write anymore to make a decent living. So it was a tough time for us. So I transitioned into the agency, and I was sitting in an office a lot of the time, and not with people. And when you love people, it's hard to sit in an office and look and stare at a computer.
Yeah.
And so I did that for about 3 years, and I was like, I got to get back out in the field. And so I took another job for a little bit, doing some industrial sales because I'd ran a Fastenal there locally for several years, and so I transferred back into that business, and I got in there, and I was just like, this is not a fit. It just wasn't. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and it just, as far as their culture was just awful.
Right.
So I knew a guy, knew Brad Withrow, and he was working for a company called Beyond. Back in the day, and so I called him. I said, Brad, I'm looking for something different. I said, I can't keep working for this company and the way it's going. And he's like, well, we're not really hiring anybody, but I'll hire you. He goes, let me send me over your resume. And so in about 2 weeks, we hit the ground running with Beyond. And so it was, and I loved it. I loved dealing. I dealt with business owners with Aflac, and it was great to get back talking to business owners and helping people. Man, that's been my heart all the way through, is just helping people.
Right.
You know, I've done some pastoring in my time, and so I've helping people is kind of where it's been. So when you love people, you want to help them.
You enjoy doing that.
So So at the end of the day, you know, when I walk into a business, it's not just about me trying to make a sale. It's about, hey, how can I help this merchant?
Right.
So
that's awesome. I didn't realize you knew Brad before that.
Yeah, I knew Brad. We were in some networking groups, and so I ended up doing a B2B with him back in the day. So that's how I kind of met him. And I was like, I didn't know anything about it. I was like, I know Brad goes and sells door to door, so I'm like, I'll go check this out and see how it works. And I guess the way I remember it is because I was doing some photography stuff, and I'd landed a little gig where I was doing some photography for a bunch of soccer teams.
Okay.
And he set me up with a little card reader, and so that's how I actually remember him. It comes back to me after I start thinking about that again.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So
what year was that when you started?
I started in 22. So January of 22 is when. 23. I started in 23. So
this is 3 years.
3 years. I just did in 3 years.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
okay.
And no looking back. I don't ever plan on doing anything other than that. Other than I might diversify a little bit.
Right. Of course. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you live in the Joplin area, Joplin, Missouri?
Yeah, I grew up a little further north of Joplin, kind of northeast of Joplin, and so went to school there, a little town called Lockwood. Nobody knows where it's at. It's a one-horse town, you know. But grew up there, went to high school, and so and kind of always stayed in the area. And I married a girl from down by Neosho area, and so you always move where your wife's at.
So you live in Neosho.
So we live in Neosho.
I gotcha. Yep. Okay. So I mean, 3 years, you're still building, right? You're still building your portfolio. You're still building and growing. And what has been your method of building over those 3 years? I mean, everybody has a different, right? Some people are networking, some people are cold calling, mixture of both. What's worked the best for you?
I'm more of a cold call type of guy.
Okay.
I had a pretty good circle of influence whenever I first started with, because I'd been in sales for 15 years prior to that. So I had already had a lot of business owners that I already knew, and they're already processing. So that was a pretty good jump start, to my career in payments. And so I already had that relationship.
Okay.
And then of course, when we moved from Beyond here, a lot of my clients wanted to come along with me whenever I moved, because they trust. You build a trust with them.
Sure.
So you want to keep them on board and make sure that they have somebody to contact.
Right.
In case.
Right.
And lots of times, as well as I do, that's the problem with most, and reason people lose their business is because they don't stay in contact with their folks.
Right.
If I'm in a town where I've signed something, I'm going in and.
So are you mainly staying in the town you live in, or are you traveling around?
No, I travel around all the little towns. I don't go into the real big towns just because I feel more comfortable, because I'm a country boy from Lockwood, Missouri, one horse town, and so I just deal better with small businesses, and
right.
So, but I really enjoy just getting out and talk to people.
I love that. Yeah. So over these 3 years, obviously, you're there's people that are on this podcast have been doing this for 30 years. There's people who have been doing it for less than a year. You're in that sweet spot, in my opinion, where the portfolio started to grow. They're starting to build some solid numbers. You're really starting to learn what you like and don't like about this industry. What's been your favorite thing about this so far? What has been that thing that you're like, this has just hooked me? Whether it's and maybe it's the residuals, maybe it's the merchants, whatever it may be. What's the thing for you?
For one thing, I absolutely just love cold calling, and trying to meet new people. So my wife hates going to Walmart with me because I always run into somebody that we know. That online ordering has been like a godsend for her, because she doesn't have to go to Walmart with me anymore. Yeah. But meeting new people and just loving people. That's really, I just love being around people.
Yeah.
And so, and obviously, the residuals are, something that you just want to keep rolling. And so I wake up every morning thinking, what, I haven't made a deal today. Let's go make one. Right. And of course I brought my family in. My boy's been working with this as well. And he's like, hey, I can really build a good career here. And I'm like, you absolutely can. Yeah. I go back to Scripture where it says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And so that's my goal, at the end of it, is that I'm taking care of my family, and I want to go down as a good man. When I'm dead and gone, I want my family to know, hey, Dad took care of us, Grandpa took care of us, or Papa took care of us. So.
I love that. That's a great just driving force for you. I mean, and I know this about you, and obviously you just referenced there. Family is very big for you, right? It's everything.
It is. It's key.
Let's talk about it. So what's your family look like?
So of course me and my wife have been married for 26 years, and here coming up in September we'll be 27 years. So
we better get that right, man. This is on recording.
We have 3 boys, and of course I have one that's playing college football, and then I have Grant that's working with me. My Carter's playing college football, and Grant's working with me, and then I have an older son, Taylor, and he's driving a truck.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Oh, good.
So they all will have the opportunity to become part of the business eventually. So,
that's awesome.
Not everywhere you go that you're going to be able to pass down, your inheritance through what you've put your time in.
Right.
And, you go to work on a regular job, you're like, you know what, I'm going to keep paying. I want this company to keep paying me and paying my family until, and keep on passing this income down. And so it's a game changer. So
I love that. So as you're coaching, so Grant's just getting started with you in the business, right?
Yeah.
As you're coaching him and guiding him, what are you telling him? 3 years, you've learned a lot in 3 years, right? That's enough time to find some pitfalls, find some things that are succeeding. What are you telling him?
One of the biggest things is when people start, when you go into a conversation, people will start going off on a tangent on something.
Yeah.
And when he's ready to go, I'm like, stay and listen.
Yeah.
Stay and listen and make that connection with these folks, because at the end of the day, if you have good rapport with them, even though the conversation we're having may have nothing to do with payment processing, you can hear them talking about, employees. It's just terrible how to try to find employees today. And you just sit there and you listen to him. And I'm like, he's young still and very motivated and wants to get out. But sometimes you just have to stop and listen. Right. Because if you don't stop and listen, you'll end up missing a key thing that maybe a pain point that doesn't have anything to do with payment processing that you might be able to solve. Right. And so you're not just a solution for the payment processing, but maybe another piece of their business.
Right.
I have one of my customers. They struggle with the English language, but anytime their internet's down, they call me. So I run and I go take care of them. Well, I probably have a customer as long as I take care of their internet if it's down, or every time there's a little thing. So I actually connected. They went from using a landline to a cell phone. So I spent an hour and a half on the phone with AT&T trying to get their phone connected because it would make calls, but it wouldn't receive them. So I spent this time trying. But I've got a merchant for life as far as I'm concerned. I take care of them, send them there. I print off their invoices and bring them into.
Oh wow!
So it's putting in that time, even though it may not benefit you there down the road. At the end of the day, I want to be a person of integrity, so I want to take care of them like I want to be taken care of as well.
I love that. So. I love that line right there that you just said of I want to take care of them like I'd want to be taken care of. I want to that kind of golden rule that's out there, right? The treat others as you want to be treated. I talk about that all the time in our industry, how it's crazy how much you can stand out just by following that.
Yeah, not that it's an art, but it's a lost art, right? I mean, taking care of people and treat them the way you'd like to be treated. Yeah. And that's the same thing, And one of the things that I drive home with our customers said, we're not going to raise your rates unless you're signed off on this, that that your rate is going up. Right. Our company don't let us do that. And they're like, really?
Yeah.
Because everybody that's ever done any kind of merchant services has a disastrous story that they've told that they're going to tell you about this guy and how they kept taking money out of my bank and so that's just part of the game,
Yeah. So. Treat them like you want to be treated, right? I mean, it's really not that complicated.
It's not rocket science, is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's not. Definitely not for sure. So the most of the accounts you've sold, and we're going to get into your software stuff here shortly.
Okay.
But most of the stuff you've sold, what kind of accounts have they been? Are you kind of all over the place, or is there something that you focus in on?
So whenever I get ready to go to a town, I'll look for something industry specific. So if it's auto repair, then I'm going to go and I'm going to Google everything in that town that has auto repair. Okay. Right? Whether it be mechanical work or if it's body work, I want to hit all of those in that day. And then maybe a couple months later, I'll go back and I'm like, all right, I'm going to hit every Mexican restaurant, or I'm going to hit every restaurant in this town. Okay. And so I want to be industry specific. So you get all the lingo that you're talking and pain points that other people are dealing with. They're fresh on your mind. So you're like, hey, this is something that somebody down the road's having a problem with. Right. Is this an issue with you as well? And they're like,
I like that approach. There's some agents out there that are, or even some industry experts that are really pushing people or encouraging people, I should say, to become vertically focused, right? To say, I only work with restaurants, or I only work with automotive, or I only work with nail salons, whatever it may be, and just become an expert in that and dominate that. You're kind of doing it I'm gonna be the automotive guy today, and tomorrow I'm gonna be the restaurant guy, and the next day I'm gonna be the salon guy.
I usually go in like spurts of this month I'm gonna work in the automotive, and I really kind of had steered away from restaurants until Grant came on. He's like, why aren't we doing restaurants? Yeah. I'm like, they're a lot of work.
They're a pain, yeah.
They're a lot of work. Yeah. But they also can be very lucrative as well. Right. So I'm like, Grant, well, let's go do it. So we started hitting some restaurants, and we've turned some restaurants now, and so and it's made us really good. And he's young, so he's good with the technology. Right. So I can turn some of that stuff to him.
There
and
you go. He can go.
He's like, all right, I got this. So
I love that. So switch gears a little bit. There's, you've done obviously cold calling and different verticals, but you've really stumbled into a great opportunity and you don't need to name names if you don't want to, but you can. It doesn't matter. In the software vertical, and there's obviously a lot of promise, a lot of future in this industry in the what's called the ISV space. The software vendors, right? Becoming the integrated partner, payment partner within that software. So when they sell the software, you could be a part of that, and it's built right into it. And you built a strong partnership there that is really trying to drive you some opportunities.
Yeah, we really did, and yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that we have this great partnership now with Cloud Auto Service. Yeah. And what really brought that about was I was in Northwest Arkansas, and I kept on walking into these. I was going to automotive repair, and so I kept on walking in. Oh yeah, we're with Mitchell, and we're using their processor here. Oh yeah, we're with this software company, and we're using their processing here. I couldn't break through those, and I was like, there's got to be a software out there that doesn't have processing or will allow us to come in and process through them and integrate with them. So I started picking up the phone, or I started Googling and looking for auto repair softwares. And I'm like, there's one that says Cloud Auto Service. I'm like, okay, I'll pick up the phone. I called it, and I could pick up the phone. Andrew Murray, the CEO of the company, answers the phone and I said, hey, I'm with PayCompass, and we really would I was wanting to know who do you guys use for your payment processing? Yeah. They go, well, whatever payment processor that they want to use. And I was like, so you don't have one integrated in with your software? And he's like, no, we don't. I said, do you want one? Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. We would definitely be open to that. And I said, well, let's set up some meetings in. And so
you really truly just cold called it. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I was just like, it was just so frustrating for me to walk in and they've already got this system, that everything's in place. And we may not ever flip some of those, but some of the companies that are struggling with their current software and are ready to make a move, then it's just a no-brainer to bring in the processing with it.
Right, right. So there's tons of people listening to this podcast right now that have never done anything with ISVs, never done anything with software, and it's extremely daunting to them to even think about how would I do that, what would I do. But you literally just Googled around and found one and called the company, and the guy was like, "Yeah, let's roll."
Talk. I actually called 2 places that day. The first one I called, I just got to customer service, and they didn't really want to give me an answer about. They had it. They already had somebody they were processing through, and then I picked up the one and talked to Andrew. I'm like, I'm not calling anybody else. I'm done. I'm done with this. And so, they have everything that any of the major big players in that software space. They have everything. It just and we get the opportunity to go out and present that to merchants that don't have something like that in place or can't afford it, because it's not pricey like a lot of the mainstream ones are.
Right. So I think that's a huge lesson for everyone out there listening to this is that it doesn't have to be that complicated. It doesn't have to. There's tons of solutions. If you're partnered with the right processing partner, there's solutions out there that can work with these, and most of the heavy lifting is going to be done by the software vendor to make it integrate. You're just providing them the tools and the APIs to make it work. But the opportunity to find 1, 2, 5, 10 of these and build a future based on these ISV space and not having to go cold calling all the time is truly there.
It really
is. It's truly there.
It's really incredible. And I wouldn't expect all of them to happen that fast, because this one happened in just a 3 or 4 month period that we were already integrated and ready to go. So, but they were ready. They were working on building out their software to make it even better. And now that they've got the new user interface is out there, man, it looks excellent, looks professional, and they're just growing this business. Yeah. It's crazy how much it's moved from a year ago whenever I made that first contact.
Right. That's great. So, And I'm, this is probably very similar to the coaching you already give to Grant, but I'd be interested, you can probably think back to, 3 years ago and you getting started in this and thinking like, man, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right move? Can I do this? Do I got the chops for this? And there's other people out there right now that are struggling with that same thing, right? There's somebody out there that is looking at you and saying, man, I want to be that guy 3 years from now. Yeah. What would you say to that? What would you say to that person?
Like, I will tell you this, we were terrified, even with Beyond, because you still had to, even though it was a W-2, it wasn't no guaranteed money.
Right.
There was no guaranteed money. And so my wife's like, are you sure you're making the right decision? Because, I was in the place where I wanted to get out of the place I was at. Yeah. I was like, no, I think I know people well enough that I can do it. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Right.
Because it really comes down to being consistent, and it's not hard to walk into a business and find a pain point.
Right.
It's a lot of questions. It's not that you're there to push anything on anybody. It's there to find out what their pain point is and what kind of solution you might have to be able to bring something to the table that makes their lives easier, to where they're not spending. One of the things that we do is go in and help out with the PCI. It doesn't seem like it's much, and it is a little bit time consuming. But when you take a business owner to where they don't have to spend the time and know how to answer the questions the correct way, and you say, click here, and you knock it out in just a few minutes, it's just a lifesaver.
That's tremendous. Yeah. One last question for you. It's outside of Cloud Auto, because I know that's your favorite solution. But outside of that, what's your favorite solution? What's your favorite maybe terminal, device? What's your favorite one that you like using?
Well, I'm kind of.
You have like a go-to?
Yeah, I mean, anytime I'm selling just a terminal itself, I guess it's what you're the most comfortable with.
Yeah.
And so Deja Vu has always been one of my go-tos, because I understand it. I know it. I can go and do a download with my eyes closed pretty well, because I know all the places to go. And the great thing is, with that one, I can, if a customer calls and they're having a problem, and we do an update on the back end, I can walk them through it over the phone and not have to actually drive out there.
You're comfortable with how to
do it. Yeah. It's a monster you're comfortable with, right? So I'm a Deja Vu guy. Of course, I love Clover as well, because I'm very capable with Clover, just because of the amount of product we put out there as far as Clover goes.
I love it, man. That's great to hear. Well, Craig, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you sharing your story.
Absolutely.
You've achieved so much over a short period of time, and you've got so much more coming ahead for you. So I appreciate you being here, man.
Super excited. It's been a privilege to be with Pay Compass, and
thank you.
And the place that I came from, even with Beyond, and it's amazing. And and anybody that's been in this business knows there's opportunities to go work for other people, because they're constantly calling, knocking on your door. And I say, I'm gonna dance with the girl that brought me here. So I love Pay Compass, and it's been a godsend for our family.
Well, I love that I get to be your girl. Thank you, man. And that's another episode of the Agent First podcast. Thanks much. We'll see you next time.